Hi there, I am Adrienne Cobb, and I am a spiritual teacher and intuitive messenger. And my website is mywildmagic.com. I'd highly recommend just check it out, see what I have to offer. Today I'm doing kind of a how-to series, and this is a how to deal with if you are an empathic person. And so a lot of people just even want to know or figure out if they are an empath. Most people probably get a gist of it, but an empath is when you are around other people, whether it's one person or more than one person, and you find that you are feeling what they feel, you are taking it on, and it can sometimes be a little stressful for people when they're empathing. And that is really one of the first types of intuition that we develop as human beings. Animals have it and plants have it. So it's a core level type of intuition where it helps us navigate our world, and it is the one that, let's say that you're an infant or a baby and you're empathing, you're learning the emotional language, and it's helping you with your emotional intelligence. And so people who are empathic are usually very emotionally intelligent because they have a range, like their color palette is so much broader with all the different emotions that they feel. So when they're around people, they can feel the subtleties. Are they sad? Are they depressed? Are they grieving? Are they kind of a happy sad? You know, it's like there's all these distinguishing types of emotions that we have, and emotional intelligence gives you that. So people who are empathic have a high level of emotional intelligence. And again, it's a very developed form of intuition that they have, where they are feeling what other people feel. So again, as a child, as a baby, as an infant, you could feel what other people were feeling, and then you could gauge that in order to communicate without words, maybe what you might have needed, if you were hungry or if you needed to be held or something. So it's a big part of our humanity to be empathic to other sentient life, whether it's trees or plants or fish or people or whatever it might be. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind around your empathy, is that it was something that was developed with you more than likely if you're an empath at a very young age, and it's pre-verbal. And so we start learning from these emotions, and sometimes there can be feeling tones that we empath consistently as a child that we then they're so familiar to us that we mimic them ourselves, but we also attract people in that do that same kind of emotion. So if you're a caretaker, which tends to go along with empaths, then you might find that you attract in people who need to be taken care of in some way, whether it's financially or whether it's their health or whether it's emotionally. And so what an empath will do for somebody is they will not only physically do things for them, but they will, without really even thinking about it, emotional empaths will absorb the emotions of other people so that person will then feel better. Because again, as a child who has this highly developed, the strategy is like, well, if my parent is sad or my parent is angry or my parent is non-present, if I start to absorb whatever's going on for them, they will feel better, and then they'll be present with me. So from a child's kind of, perspective, that's a lot of times what happens and what we're thinking about. Again, it's pre-verbal. We're not really thinking about it, but some part of us to survive is, right? And so as you get older, if you don't know how to manage that gift, you will continually keep intuiting what other people feel instead of being present to your own feelings, right? And then from intuiting what they feel, you'll make that more important than your own feelings. And so you're starting to lose yourself. Then you will want to do something for them so that they will feel better, essentially from an inner child point of view, so that they will do something for you. So now it's a conditional love. So you're actually using your intuition in a conditional way, and that creates kind of a courting between your heart and their heart, your energy and their energy. And that starts to open the door then where empaths, again, it's taking on another person's negative emotions or things that maybe they didn't know how to deal with. It is helpful, but only for like a moment. It's like a Band-Aid, because whatever it is they're feeling, you have to imagine that's their that's their soul's way of growing and learning. And if you take that away from them, you're actually not helping them at all. It's actually kind of creating more harm than good. I know in the moment, people might really want to be around you because you do make them feel better. But again, if they're not learning how to manage their own emotions, you're essentially kind of enabling them. And then even if you stop doing it, they will then realize, oh, well, it worked with them, so I'll go find somebody else to do it. You see what I mean? So it kind of creates a bad habit. So it's really better that as an empath, the other way to handle something is that you're not going to stop your gift. You don't ever want to stop it. And it is a gift. It's like a double-edged sword, though, where it can be used against you and for you. So the how-to around empathy is that you can be aware that you are picking up on other people's thoughts and emotions. And then from there, you kind of observe it. And the way to make the leap from mental empathy into actually going to, you want to start going from emotional empathy to mental empathy. So emotionally is where you have a lot of drains in the energy field. And then when people don't get their way, they can do like kind of psychic attacks and weird things psychically. Like they will pull on your energy, or you might feel stabbed in the back or punched in the gut or slapped across the face, or, but you know, energetically, sometimes we're a little bit more clumsy or aggressive than what we realize. So even if we're not doing something physically, you can a lot of times feel it energetically, how somebody is engaging your energy, and you feel it in your body, right? So as an experiment, imagine somebody that you have maybe a negative relationship with. It's stressful for some reason, or it just, it didn't turn out really well, you know, whatever it could be. But try to find a relationship that you know has some negative emotion to it. And I want you to notice how you feel in your body. Like, is there a heaviness in your heart? Do you feel like an anxiety or punched in your gut? Do you feel like a pain in your neck? Do you get a headache? Do you get a stomach ache? Does something else on your body hurt? So that is where people are kind of like psychically engaging you on an inner level that maybe you don't realize or know about, right? Because it's invisible. That's the whole thing about the empathy, is like it's an invisible gift. And it's also an invisible sort of trap if you don't know how to use it. So now that you have seen how it affects your body, how much energy you're losing, like that's another really good gauge, is that I'm dealing with this person who's a friend, but I always walk away feeling kind of drained, or I walk away feeling really anxious, or I walk away feeling whatever they were feeling, right? And they end up feeling better. These are all scenarios of an empath. Now you give a command. I'm using my free will, right? Because I'm using my free will to mentally empath my day, to mentally empath that person, to mentally empath at my job, to mentally empath that client, to mentally empath my family or friends or whatever. And so when you start to mentally empath, and it takes a little getting used to, but you're shifting your energy from your heart to your head. And it's not that you won't still feel what other people feel, but when you're mentally empathing, your higher self takes over, and it knows really how to govern the gift of emotional empathy. And so when your higher self takes over, it puts a ring of light around your body. For me, I notice it about a 21-foot diameter around my body when I tune into it. And it might be a little bit different for everybody, but it's somewhere around like that. And then you go back and you imagine being in that person's presence again. And like I said, for me, what happens when I start mentally empathing, if there was a psychic attack or a psychic drain or a psychic engagement, whether that person was conscious of doing it or not, I find that it hits this wall of light and it just falls. It just doesn't have any effect. And so it really helps me to stay in a clean, clear position. Because once I'm engaged, then I want to react, particularly as an empath, because we don't like conflict a lot of times, and we want to remedy everything. And then we start over-caring and over-giving, which causes a whole nother problem, really for everybody, but mostly for you. So I'm mentally empathing, and that's going to clean up a lot. Now, the other thing that mental empathing does is it helps me not take things so personal. And so I realize if I'm not taking things as personal, I can be more unconditional with somebody. I don't feel attacked, really, because it just sort of stopped. And so that energy's gone. And if I'm finding that somebody's pulling on me or needing my energy and I start to mentally empath, again, I feel detached, not in a non-present way, but I feel detached in a way that I know it's not my job to do anything, and just to kind of hold strong and know that they'll work it out, because that's, again, their emotions, their feelings, their life, their issues, their problems are theirs to work out. And that doesn't mean that we can't lend each other a helping hand, but empaths have a hard time saying no. They have a hard time setting healthy boundaries. They have a hard time knowing what's theirs and what's not theirs, right? So again, high level of emotional intelligence, that you're probably great at problem solving and conflict resolution and coming up with amazing solutions and calling in all kinds of resources to help, but it's not necessarily in the best interest of everybody. So that is one of the things going on with the mental empathy, is it cleans that up, and you actually have more clarity, more compassion, more unconditional love. And the best part about it is that you really start to feel yourself and what you're feeling, because with emotional empaths, we get so used to being in other people's emotional bodies, even if it's causing us anxiety and overwhelm, because being an emotional empath is a big cause for anxiety issues, which a lot of people have these days, partly from the EMF fields, but also from all the emotions we take on, because that's also electrical energy. So when you're cleaning all that up, it's like you can then just be in your own emotions and feelings. And so emotional empaths, sometimes without meaning to, it is easier maybe for us to empath other people's emotions and try to help them with their life, because we don't have acceptance for our own. And so that is part of the adjustment as a life skill, that you want to start getting comfortable being more in your own skin, being more in your own life, dealing with your own insecurities and inadequacies and things that go on that maybe you've been trying to avoid, and taking responsibility for the life that you've come here to live, and knowing that you have permission to do that. And again, it's one of those things where I know I deserve more and more unconditional love at all times, not less, will help tremendously. So coming back to unconditional love is a major, powerful teaching in all of this. And learning how to be present with yourself. And you'll find that you actually feel much more free, and your life is more simple and less dramatic and traumatic when you start to learn how to manage the energy around your empathy. So again, this is something that I teach a lot about in the $39 monthly My Wild Magic membership that I have. You can go online, mywildmagic.com, check it out, and would love to have you and help you to really take this gift that you have and turn it into something that's really golden for you, because empathy really is an amazing gift that has so much compassion, and it has an innate connection to spirit and source energy that is really beautiful if you know how to connect inwardly instead of putting so much of the energy in the external world, which again is usually what we're taught as a child. So we can get all that cleaned up, especially if you're having anxiety issues, depression, overwhelm. This is something to really continually work on. And I find that kind of working on a month-to-month basis with some of the people that I do work with, it helps a lot to create a rhythm to kind of retrain our system. So, all right, have a good rest of your day, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.